Do you ever get that feeling that there's an invisible fence around you that you can't see? Therefore, how will you break free from it? And mature women with decades of spiritual training really feel this. We've been down in the excavation. We have removed the layers. We have seen the things. We have had the revelations. We have changed. We have transformed. We have alchemized. And then we still feel that invisible fence. What do we do about that? Today we have Cheryl Stelte on the call, who is a spiritual coach, a master healer speaker, and she's the founder of the Star of Divine Light Institute. She's going to help us with some beautiful revelations and insights. Join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show. Soul Nectar Show. Soul Nectar Show.
Well, hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we dive into all things essence, where we gather around the campfire like our ancestors before us, and we share those stories that brought us such great wisdom through our life experiences and how we can step forward in even a more beneficial way on the planet at this time. With so much happening all around us in the collective, it can feel a bit like a dust storm, wondering, what should I do next? Well, I'm your host, Kerri Hummingbird, and I love coming here week after week and been doing this for over 10 years, bringing you conversations that give you something to contemplate, give you a different perspective, give you maybe even some validation for the part of your journey that you're having right now, and that where we can tap in as a collective consciousness together, and we can create ripples of change simply by joining together energetically in this conversation. Even if you're not here with us live right now as we're recording, you are here with us now as we are recording, because there is no time, there is no space, it doesn't exist. And so you're here with us now, you're hearing these words, you were part of the conversation the whole time, you just maybe didn't know it, didn't realize it at the time, but you are here with us. We feel you, we love you, dear ones, and we know that this is not an easy time on the planet, especially if you're in a female body, especially if you're carrying codes of the matriarchy, especially if you're a mature wise woman. Wow, such opportunity, and also such grist for the mill. And this whole life might have felt that way. I remember earlier this week, I was posting on Substack about the feeling of being a woman in the demise of the patriarchy and feeling like I'm lugging this boulder through thick mud that does not want me to succeed up some kind of hill. And at some point I stop and question, why am I doing this? Why am I struggling this way? I don't want this mud, and I don't care about the boulder. And really, without those two things, I can walk up the mountain so much easier. And it doesn't really matter if anyone sees me do it or knows that I did it or comes with me on the journey. Although that would be nice, because having companions sure is nice. But there's this feeling of like, we've been rewiring so many codes at such a deep level for probably our entire lifetimes up until now. And not just, sort of sleight of hand things that we're rewiring, like who cares, superficial stuff. Oh no, like the deepest things that matter the most. I don't know, like being a mother, like being a mature woman, like being an embodied leader of light. These are all things that are so important at this time. And these are really down to the bones, like down to the marrow conversations that many of us have been invested in for our entire lives up until now. And there's moments that you can start to feel like I just described, what the hell am I doing this for? I'm literally slogging through mud, slogging a boulder with me, trying to what? Save the world? I mean, do I really think I can do that? And I would say, yes, together we can, because of course we can, and we are, and we have been. And the evidence of that is looking out into the collective and seeing all that's being revealed and exposed. That's the evidence. The evidence is that it's all right in front of our faces, and that just about every last human being can't help but to see it now. And that's the evidence of the work that we've been doing. And no, we can't force someone else to wake up. And no, we can't force this whole paradigm to die already. Please. We have new things to birth. We have new things to explore while we're still in the body with all this great wisdom we've been cultivating this whole time. And I feel like we could all agree that it's time, it's past time, it's overtime. It's like, can we get on with it, please? And yet we might still be feeling that there's that tenderness, that desire, the nuance of things to be very precisely intentional as we do release the old and as we step into the new, that we don't overlook anything or don't step any steps, that we don't bypass, but that we really stay true. And I feel like we feel that in our bones and we feel that together. And that just takes so much patience. And yet there is help for the journey. There is help for the journey and it is happening. And sometimes you just need somebody to show you. And so I'm hoping that today's conversation with Cheryl is going to illuminate that. I mean, Cheryl Stelte is with us today. She's a spiritual coach, master healer, speaker, 3-time bestselling author. She's the founder of the Star of Divine Light Institute. And she's done over 30 years, worked with spiritually mature women who have spent years in meditation, therapy, personal growth, yet still sense something deeper hasn't fully shifted yet, like I was just talking about. It leads them through profound subconscious and nervous system reprogramming that creates deep shifts that actually last. They don't slide backwards. And I would say there's never really any true backwards. There's only retrograde periods where you get to review things. And, you know, so we may get those retrograde periods, but we can actually dive deeper into those with somebody like Cheryl. We can excavate that and really get the marrow out of it that we want. And so real breakthroughs, real lasting change. That's what we're after here on Earth. And I know that if you're here with us in this conversation, that's who you are as well. So Cheryl, welcome to the show. With all that said, I just so enjoyed our first conversation. I was just like, yeah, this is my people. We're going to have a great conversation on the show. So exciting.
I agree totally. And thank you so much. It really is an honor to be here. We are two peas in a pod. There's a lot of pods out there and a lot of peas. And may we all come together and create the lasting change that we all want to experience and become.
Yeah. And it's powerful, right? Because what a powerful time on the planet, right? There's so much opportunity to change things. And again, it also can feel from time to time a bit disorienting, a bit overwhelming, a bit like I've been tussling with this thing for a while. I'm ready for it to be released, you know, at last, at long last. I mean, we're operating at like deep levels of being, all the way down, like I said, to the bones, to the ancestry. So I know that you've been at this work for a really long time. Can you tell us, the audience, a little bit about yourself and a touch on your journey and how you came to be this person that is really helping the women emerge with their wisdom into the world?
Well, like many of us in this field, this was never planned. It was far from planned. But I just want to say, Kerri, I remember being 3 years old. I have a memory of wanting to know what others felt like inside their bodies. What was it like? And I remember being at a family event, and I know I was so small. I was barely looking above my grandmother's knees, and my grandmother and my mother were sitting together. And I asked my mother how she felt inside. And she said, "I feel fine, Cheryl." And I said, "No, inside you. What do you feel inside you?" And she, didn't want to have the conversation. "I feel fine, Cheryl, I told you." And my grandmother said, "No, wait a minute. What do you mean, dear?" And she tried to understand and they couldn't understand. And I wanted to know later, when I was 5, I wanted to know about God. I wanted to know about the sky and the universe and the cosmos. And I would have conversations with whoever would have conversations with me at school. So I did have this longing throughout my life to know, to be more, to experience, to understand at a deep level. And Never got those questions answered. I even became an altar girl to try and get closer to the priest. And, you know, none of that gave me the answers I wanted. And spiritual was not a word in my life. And it was after my youngest, my second youngest brother took his life that his spirit came and visited me on the beach and told me to start meditating. And it was my girlfriend who'd never channeled anyone who channeled him. And I understood later it was so I could get these answers. And I was experiencing severe depression at the time, so I quickly just rolled out of the depression, got off the very strong antidepressants and never looked back. And that set me on a journey that was just so exciting because early on I started to access my own subconscious and I moved into shamanism like you and studied and practiced shamanism for a very long time, went to a lot of retreats. A lot of my spiritual work has been down in the US and I was living in Canada. Here I am in the US finally after a long time. And so it was one modality after another. But very early on, people started asking me for help. And so I could, I started helping people. It was very casual, didn't want to charge in the beginning, just helping friends. But then I saw that no, I can charge for some of these services and started leading meditation. I went back to school and started a spiritual interior design business. And that was a
Like feng
blast.
shui?
Spiritual interior, oh, more than just feng shui. I was a renovation contractor. I did space clearings and house blessings. I studied with Denise Lynn. I brought my shamanic practices into that, cleared out the old energy, did so much. Power animal retrievals, soul retrievals, and on it went. But it was I could wear my spirituality hat under the umbrella of interior design. So not all my clients were spiritual, but most of them were. And back then, that was in the year 2000. And my marketing instructor said, I said, my tagline's going to be Stelte Design, designing for the soul. And she said, you're ruling out over 80% of your potential clients. And I said, I don't care. Those are the one, that's what I stand for. And those are the people I want to work with. So they found me. And I believe it's our vibration, our energy that attracts those souls that want to work with us. But when I was later led to wear the hat full time and nothing else, not under any guise, I was like, all my imposter syndrome came up, the
Yeah.
unworthiness, had a meltdown, actually became chronically ill for a little while, and realized, no, I just have to do this and I don't know what it looks like. And so I did. And here I am. And it's like, what else could I possibly be doing that would be as fulfilling? And being alive at this time is just such a gift. It's absolutely extraordinary. And I get to witness all these women who, like me, had been on a spiritual path and they hit a glass ceiling. They've done so much personal work. And like me, I hit that glass ceiling. Oh, here's the next thing. And just a deeper layer of all the stuff I thought I'd already healed. And we all go through that. Oh, I thought I did that one. It's another layer and and helping them move into true freedom, which is an inner state and a deeper sense of purpose and joy in their lives.
Yeah. And I think that at any moment of this journey, you get like, you get up against that wall and you're like, ah, I have to go deeper. But it's like you get to go deeper because on the next pass through, right? And the next pass through the excavation even deeper, you realize there's more revelations, there's more openings, there's more embodiment of the truth of ourselves on each one of these layers down, right? And so but if we get fixated on like some kind of goal, which I feel like is patriarchal programming,
Yes.
then we end up like feeling disappointed with ourselves somehow. because it's never ending. Well, yeah, I mean, we're rewiring thousands of years of patriarchal conditioning in one lifetime. That's a lot. You know, we're actually, and there's so many layers that we don't even see until something is cleared. It's like this piece has to be cleared first before you even see the next piece, before that becomes apparent to you. So you have to clear like these things in layers so that then you can get down and see the next layer of things that are have been hidden the whole time and right in front of your face and you didn't see it. Then you get to clear those. So there is like a process of elimination of these patterns. And then the garden starts to grow in this really different way, which I feel is super exciting to see it starting to grow in my community. So I see it growing and it's like, oh, it's like this moment of excitement. Like when you finally realize like the flowers that you planted last spring are finally growing. It's like, oh my God, they're growing. The flowers are growing. And you just knew you planted them in the soil, but now they're starting to like come up and they're flowering. And you're like, look at that. Mulch really does work. And, you know, instead of being like mulch sucks, you know, like I don't want any more mulch, but actually it's the mulch, right? It's the mulch that actually enables you, the mulch of the old things that you're letting go of, that you become aware of through this process of revelations and then release, that like releases the ground in which these seeds can flourish and grow. And it's exciting, you know, it's both and it's like it's all happening at the same time. So if we're not seeing it, we might only be focusing on the heaviness and not seeing the growth, right? We're not seeing the opening.
That's right. And I love, you know, I'm really stuck back on the word revelation. And I think of true revelation, we receive it. That's the divine feminine coming through. The divine masculine, or, you know, the patriarchy full of structures and has to be this way and you do this and you're going to get that. And it's very structured. Whereas revelation does require release. Previous to that, we have to open the door. We have to release what's in the way of the door, and that door being opened and receive the revelation. Oh, of course. And it's funny you put it that way, because I just had this revelation myself of my own fire energy. It's my number one energy that I align to, moving to a whole new level. And I was just like blown away, and could see when I look back on my life how sometimes I, you know, have a pattern of dampening that fire, of letting up, tone it down, too much, too strong, too out there. I loved what you said about revelation, because to me, we have to receive the revelation. And you talk about clearing, and that's the work I do as well. It's clearing what's in the subconscious that you don't even know exists. It's that clearing which opens the door to the revelation. It's like we have to clear the darkness that lets us access our light, the light of truth. So the revelation, it's very much in alignment with the divine feminine, right? There's nothing masculine about it. Masculine is do this, step one, step two, structure, you're going to do this and you're going to get that. Where revelation is discovering truth, the truth of who you truly are, what you're really all about, your truest nature. And I just went through a little thing myself where I discovered a whole new level of my own fire energy. And I had to clear an old way of thinking so I could access that. And it's my strongest energy of the four elements, you know, the four directions and everything. And yet I received it, and it was such a revelation, the level it was at, because it's more receptive. It was more like a whirling dervish, like giggling and high energy, like whirling and dancing. It just I've always been more on the masculine side or expressive side of fire, and to receive this, you know, much more receptive fire energy is just lovely. Anyway, and we all go through this at different layers, different levels, at different times, when we're open to it, when we can allow it. That's the divine feminine. Allow it and surrender to it.
Yeah, and not get so self-conscious about it. Fire energy being very, very big, very potent, very passionate, very in the moment, very expressive, very bright, right? And in our lives, what have we been told when we're like that?
Oh, be quiet. You're too much.
I remember being in the back seat of my when my dad used to like to take long drives on country roads and without a map, he just kind of followed the sun and figured out like where he was going to get back home again, which is amazing to me. I don't know how he did that. But I would be in the back seat and then I would get something would strike my funny bone and I would literally giggle for like the entire trip sometimes. I would just, something would touch my funny bone and I would just laugh and giggle and like nothing could stop it. And after a while, it's like contagious because people they like want it to stop, but it's also so contagious that they want to laugh too, but they don't really know what to do with that energy. Like, what do you do when your child just won't stop giggling? And it's like, so like that energy, I felt like they at once, it was so big, the energy of it, right? It was so big. And at the same time, it was like kind of feeling out of control. And
Yeah.
so, like a lot of times, masculine energy, no matter what body it's in, wants to like you said, tamp that down and control that instead of just allowing it to be this effervescent energy that just, like you said, dancing with the fire that just wants to dance and play and come out.
Exactly. And so I think that, you know, so much of our conditioning, well, it really doesn't allow us to be who we truly are, who our soul came in here to be. You and I came in with, and I giggled so much as a girl, so much, just always giggling with that. And it's very much the receptive fire energy, which can become very expressive, but it is just a lot of energy. And back in those days, children were, it was, you need to be quiet, sit still. And, the way we honor children today, it's so different. It's so different. If you or I were in the back seat today of our modern parents, they would just start giggling with us,
Yeah.
right?
And I remember there's some places where that's not allowed, it's disrespectful. Like
Yeah.
we went to go visit my grandma. My mom grew up in Midwest Texas and this little town called Kermit, like little tiny town in the middle of nowhere. And my grandpa worked on the oil fields. My grandmother was really enamored of, the church there. And so she went to church like 5 days a week. Right. And so they took me there this one time and I was a like a middle school age kind of kid. And something struck my funny bone. And I'm literally sitting in there doing my best to keep it quiet, but I can't stop giggling. Like it's just too funny to me what's going on. And I think the energy in there was just like so silly to me, what was happening and what people were saying and how seriously they were taking themselves. And I just couldn't help myself. I wasn't raised in the church, right? So it didn't make any sense to me. And my grandmother was like, shh, 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 like this is completely inappropriate. It's disrespectful, and all this. And I just can't help myself. I'm just laughing because it's hilarious to me what they're doing. And, that didn't go over very well. But basically, I had to leave the space because I couldn't stop myself. It was too funny. So I think that that inner part of us knows that something's ridiculous, right? And when we're little children, we know that it's not true. And it's like we can feel the energy of that. And then it starts to come out. But I think that what that control paradigm, shuts it down because it puts you in trouble for being what you naturally are. It puts you in trouble, right, for for just having a natural reaction, right, to whatever's like in front of you. You're just a kid. You don't know any better. You're not trying to be disrespectful. It's just it's like this life is coming through you. This God source energy is coming through you and it's the one that's laughing, right? And so this it's so funny how it gets, then to maintain these illusions or these systems or this control, right? Then the woman's body, the female gets suppressed.
Exactly. And we all have different types of energy, and that's not, there are thousands different types of energy, and we all have that conditioning be quiet, or no, don't say that, that's not appropriate. Or, we light up the fear in our parents. Oh, I'm raising a bad child if he or she does this. So we get all this conditioning that holds us in, that really fences us in. I just walked past a sign the other day on this big electrical thing. In this little corner, it said, "Don't fence me in." I took a picture, but I thought that's exactly how we live. We are fenced in. And those fences are coming down. We're really in this period of dismantling all our old ways of being, and it's not always pretty. The release of what's holding us back to be the true expressions of who we are and who we came here to be, what we came here to be, and how we came here to express. It's all coming down. And I believe that the more people engage in releasing those layers, whatever no longer serves them, and to continue to have those revelations, continue to discover the truth of your being, you are doing so much to help others in the world, to help humanity in general.
My kitty just cannot leave us alone today. I'm putting him over here. So yeah, it's powerful work that we're doing right now. And I became aware that, like you said, the glass ceiling, or whenever the fence, or whatever you want to call it, the cage, whatever that is that's fencing us in, it's palpable. It's like energetically, psychically palpable. And I realized it's like collective construct, right? So I think the reason why sometimes it feels like it has so much power is because it's been cultivated over thousands of years collectively, ancestrally, and then as a body of people, right? And so it's like this palpable thought form, which I just heard was the name egregore. I didn't even know that word before. I just found that word out a little while ago. I was like, oh, that's egregore. That's what that thing is that I'm feeling. That's telling me you can't do that. And I just go, oh, I can't. Let me see if I can. Just, but that's what I'm saying is like we're pushing up against these structures constantly. And then sometimes, it's like we've got to figure out how to dissolve it so that it's not quite so much of a constant push against, right? Because we want to liberate ourselves from the cage, and there is a certain amount of friction and effort and energy and intention that's needed for that. And there's also like probably easier ways of doing it and harder ways of doing it. And so what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is recognizing, in the collective construct. So what happens is we grow up with our families. I believe we choose our parents. And so we have those fences put in place. We have those limitations. We have the control. We're being controlled. And as much as we grow up, then we all know we attract the same archetypes. We attract the same people to limit us. And even when, and this is where I just see this, women like myself and like you who have done a ton of work, like really a lot of spiritual therapy, yoga, different modalities, retreats, all sorts of things, meditate every day, many practices. We still find ourselves, oh, this person, I attracted this person or these people, and they're so different. They're my real tribe, my real people, and we connect in everything. And then lo and behold, they have some of those qualities. And when those people try and sort of fence us in or gain control, when we say become really successful or we become much more expressive, and they can't handle it and we feel it, we kind of know what's happening, but there's a certain toleration because we're taught to tolerate. We are so conditioned to tolerate. So I'm seeing that all the people that come to me today can no longer tolerate. They cannot tolerate what they've tolerated for years in themselves, and it can be how they feel, that they feel tension, or they've been stuffing their feelings, or they still have a certain type of person around them, and they see that just can't do it anymore. And I think this is the next phase. It's What we used to be able to tolerate can't be tolerated anymore. We see it globally. We see it globally. And
Yeah, we can't look and the other thing is looking the other way because, or excusing it, making excuses for it. And
yes,
it's interesting because these are all the same patterns that we've been exploring in the individual relationship conversation of the empath and the narcissist, and how the empath excuses the behavior of the narcissist and makes up for it and tells the story and looks the other way and pretends that she doesn't see, because it's usually the female in the empath body. And not always, but most of the time. And then, and so but that's collective. So it's like as above, so below. Now we're seeing, oh, that's a collective phenomenon. Oh, that's an egregore. Oh, that's ancestral. Oh, that's a programming. And so now, like, yeah, we can't look the other way. We have to look dead on. And then also not tolerate it, no longer acquiesce. And also, I've heard a lot of people saying recently, a lot of female thought leaders saying we can no longer co regulate what is out of regulation. Like, we can no longer co regulate it to harmonize something that really is out of harmony, because then we just accept it and we make it comfortable to have this be the new norm. And it's like, we're not going to have this be the new norm. So there's a way in which we've got to actually stop doing that and just let it crash and take our energy out of it, and let the whole system sort of fray and fall apart, and be okay with that. Because why do we co-regulate it? Because we don't like the feeling of the rawness of the violence of it. We don't like that. We don't like the threat of it. We fear it, right? And so I feel like we're in this moment where those of us who are having this conversation and listening to this conversation, we're really needed to step up now and say no, and we're not going to like make it okay for this to continue.
that's right. And it's just so darn painful. And when you look at um, the joint coming together of and all the joint dysfunction in narcissism and codependency. And it's so easy to blame the narcissist. Oh, the men are bad. Because it's usually men, that's proven. And the women are the codependents. Well, hello, we all created this, and you look at for how many, you still, I've traveled the world. I've lived with tribes where it's the men still come first and the women don't matter. So it really is still men first. They matter. The women do all the work, and then the children are last. And we have co-created all of these symptoms. So men have had a heck of a time. A lot of men growing up, not okay to cry, boys don't cry. So they learn to shut down, they learn to cut parts of themselves off, and eventually you have a fragmented personality, or you could say a personality disorder, which is what narcissism is. And there's a whole gray scale to that. But so much of it is collective conditioning, and the women have gone along with it. I'll take care of you. How many women get married and, oh, yeah, he's a great guy. He just needs a little bit of fixing. And then we just keep fixing, 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 but we're feeding the problem. So it really is taking ownership for our part in whatever is going on. What is mine to own? What is mine to own? What is mine to let go of? What can I no longer tolerate in me? Stop blaming the other. It's continuous work to look at all situations. How is this serving me? How have I attracted this? What do I need to know? What do I need to take a stand for now? Where in me do I need to love myself a little more, that I can just release all this with love? And as a collective, that we can be who we truly are, what we truly are. And it's divine love and light. And the more we're in presence, in that state, totally present, and seeing and being open to the all, and see that the divine is in the narcissist across the street from you, the divine is in everybody, and connect with them at that level, but own your own stuff and walk your own talk. And that's basically what I help people do. What feels impossible, or you don't even know where to begin or what's next, it's I help people go into their subconscious so you can access what program is still running or programs and release them. And then it's like the realizations just come flowing in, the revelations and the new states of being that you couldn't even imagine. We cannot imagine how great and wonderful we can actually feel.
Yeah, and it's on the other side of facing the shadow directly head on and moving into it like on a daily thing. It's not about bypassing it to get higher vibrations and thinking that if I just maintain a permanent high vibrational state, that everything is going to shift for me in my favor and I'm going to get everything I want. It hasn't worked for me. Maybe it works for somebody out there. But what I notice is that what works for me is actually turning, facing a shadow, feeling it to heal it, getting in my body. And because I noticed so many breakthroughs from that process of exploring the shadows, because breakthroughs what are new information. It's like, oh, I was operating a program. Wow, it was called Look the Other Way. Ah, okay, I'm not going to look the other way anymore because that's a program. That's to keep the status quo going. I'm not going to do that anymore because I'm not going to keep the status quo going. I'm not going to support this system. Okay, now that means I need to look, I need to see, I need to feel, I need to heal. Okay, I'm going to do that now. Oh, I'm not going to do anybody else's work but my own. I'm going to stay in my own lane. That was another program where I was fix other people. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stay in my own lane. But also, I noticed like the more people's perspectives I listen to, right? Especially in a white presenting body, the more perspectives that I listen to, the more it shows me through my body's discomfort with that, which is also my ancestral discomfort with it. It goes, oh, there's something there. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. Because if I'm like bothered by it or triggered by it or think they shouldn't be saying that, or I'm like, what, who are you saying, projecting that over here? Anything like that, that's my stuff. That's my hidden stuff. Like a part of me got revealed and that part didn't want to be seen. And so that's all that's happening when people shy away from all of this dialogue. I just had a great broadcast with my friend Kerri Stoddard a few weeks ago, and we talked all about like dismantling racism, like just finally actually dismantling it and what it requires. And I got so much comments on my feed about it from people who are really uncomfortable. And I'm just going to say, like, if you're uncomfortable, that's great because that means you're actually accessing something that's buried traumatic in your body that needs healing. It's ready to be healed. It's being called up because it's ready to go. It's ready to be transformed. It's ready to be transmuted. And I feel as everybody does this work and actually tunes within, like listen to other perspectives and then come back home, right? Process it here. And then as your body transmutes, you're not just transmuting yourself, but your whole ancestral river forward and back 7 generations. And so the whole thing's getting cleared out. So it just feels like it's a murky path forward, but it is a path. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
It can be murky, but it's what takes you to your light. It's what takes you to the joy and a higher level of vitality and where you can really embrace life in a whole new way. Like I just find that when those, what I call blocks or those old energy patterns are lifted, you can't help but access the truth of your being. All the old emotions are processed and washed away, which gives you access to love, gives you access to confidence in your truth, and can set you in a whole new direction. So what may definitely feel murky in the beginning, if you stay with it, it'll always lead you to your light and lightness. And I just find that, especially these days, it's like women, mature women who come to see me, their marriages will not stay the same. They will either improve tremendously or they're going to fail. If the marriage was already not healthy in any way, and I've watched this time and time again, so I feel like there should be a disclaimer. And I've had someone say to me, "You're working on my husband." Like, no, I'm not working on your husband. Oh, yeah, he's changed so much. It's like, no, your vibration has changed. So he cannot vibrate at the same level. And that's how the vibration naturally goes up when we're forcing the vibration to rise out of fours. We can do that. It's not going to hurt you. It can be beneficial, but doing the deeper work where your vibration goes up naturally is, and then you can maintain it. And it's so easy. It is effortless. And it's, you move into your higher states of who you truly are. So that's where the murky, to me, leads to the light and leads to the higher vibration.
Yeah. And it's important to learn how to stay the course. And one of the things that we teach in our program is around realizing the strategies that we use, that we cultivated through an uncomfortable way of living that couldn't be budged at the time, right? So like a lot of people have tried to change patriarchy for a long time, right? And there were time windows where that was just not going to be possible. They were pushing against it and pushing against it, making small changes that then we lose ground on, right? And so there were times when that just wasn't possible. So we developed some coping mechanisms for how to deal with that. And one of them is being a pleaser. You know, anybody been a pleaser? Just raise your hand. And, you know, controller, manipulating everything to try to prevent the argument from happening. You know, isolator, it's uncomfortable in here, so I'm just going to leave. I can't talk to my family anymore. I just have to, you know, what did Ram Dass say about family and spiritual enlightenment?
Yeah.
So, you know, and then distractor. I don't know, anybody distracted now? There we have an epidemic of distraction on the planet, right? So like these four, and I learned this from Heather Ashamara, one of my mentors, but these four are so powerful. We just focus on that. We can start to see why is it that we keep getting spun out, you know, because we have done the retreats and we have done the deep work and we have, but there's layers. And so you got to constantly be moving yourself to the next place that you're going to expand your awareness, which is going to increase your revelations. And so you might need to study with 5, 6, 7 different people because they've mastered a different piece of the patriarchal puzzle. So what? Who cares? What else are you going to do with your time? Like, enjoy the discovery process. Go study with Cheryl. Come study with me. Go study with someone else. It doesn't matter. Like, put your body in places where people are doing deep work and get the wisdom. And so what if you've already done, you know, I've already done this for 30 years. So you're still here. So you're not done yet. So go back to beginner's mind. Like, stop and think this is a patriarchal thing. It's like, I should be further than I am right now because I'm this age. I am bumping up against this one so much inside of me. I've been working with it, Cheryl. I should be so much further along because look at what I've done. And I should be, you know, and right here. And this is ridiculous that I'm still at this point where I feel like I'm 30 years old with my income and blah, 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 you know, and I can just go on. I'm like, oh, there's that program. Okay. Should I be further? I don't know. Should I? Is this the Great Awakening or is this, you know, what is it? This isn't going to happen like that, right? It's a process.
It's the process. It's the process. And it is doing the deep work. The deep work absolutely takes you higher. And that's where, you know, life becomes unimaginable. And what I love about, you know, working with people, my main goal is, yes, to help them along their journey and have radical transformation, really radical. They all say, I always ask them, did you ever think you'd become the person you are now in this period of time? And they always say, no, I couldn't imagine this. But it's really, I teach them how to become their own energy worker so that they can continue this, like you and I, continue the process, do the deep work, rise up, and you will always be great. You will be on the journey and you'll be able to look back. Oh, this is where I am now. Look where I was. You know, look back where you were, and that'll let you know where you are.
I love that point. Yeah. I keep all the recordings of all the classes that I teach so people can go back. I said, and because there's moments, you know, those moments where the person's like, I don't know that anything is changing and I feel like it's exactly the way it was. I said, okay, go back to class 1 6 months ago and watch it again. And then come back and tell me what you notice. We need those moments, right? Because our brain will fool us into thinking that nothing has changed when literally everything has changed. So, yeah, celebrate yourselves is another patriarchal thing. We don't celebrate ourselves enough. Oh gosh, you guys, this I could go on and on with Cheryl. Cheryl, you're probably just gonna have to come back on the show again another time because we could
Love,
really,
would love
yeah,
to.
I love this conversation. Tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you, can get a taste of working with you, can find out more about you if they want to
So
explore that.
easiest way to get in touch with me is to click the link for my 3 free meditations, my powerful meditations, and they help you become your own energy worker, access your subconscious. So you just click that link, you're going to get an email from me, and that's the easiest way to connect. You can go to my website, starofdivinelight.com, because you are a star of divine light as well. And there's lots of resources there. And you can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Beautiful. So thank you so much for being on the show, Cheryl. This was just a taste of what's possible in connection with Cheryl. Gorgeous conversation and beautiful energy. I hope you guys felt that. We just transformed and highlighted a whole bunch of stuff for revelation. So watch it back and share it out with anybody that you think would benefit from this conversation. And in the meantime, we're going to give you kisses. I like to give everybody kisses on the way out. Cheryl, you can join me if you like. Here come your Reiki kisses filled with love, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Mm. And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now, everyone.
If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, awake, Nectar Show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are.